night on the CINA 102.3 app at CINAFM.com, on TuneIn, on smart speaker, and at 102.3 FM. CINA Radio, every device, everywhere. The following program does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the management, staff, or advertisers of CINA Radio.
Joumana Kayrouz. You've seen her images on giant billboards across the metro. Joumana Kayrouz. You've seen her images on buses across the city. Now get to know Joumana Kayrouz.
The war broke out in my home country, Lebanon. I was 11 years old, and I saw a lot of bloodshed and inequality and poverty. You can't grow up in an environment like that and not be affected by it and not want to make a difference. I graduated from Yale University with a master's in ethics. I speak 4 languages. It has always been innate in me, fighting for the underdog and trying to do whatever it is I can to make a difference in the world.
Let Joumana Kayrouz protect your rights. Call the law offices of Joumana Kayrouz at 1-866-YOUR-RIGHTS, extension 100, or visit yourrights.com.
برنامج يور رايتس مع المحامية جومانا كيروز المختصة في قضايا حوادث السيارات، مع نخبة من المحامين في اختصاصات عدة منها الطلاق والهجرة والإفلاس، يأتيكم الآن على الهواء مباشرة. لقاء جديد وموضوع جديد ومعلومات قيمة دائما تأتيكم في برنامج يور رايتس مع المحامية جومانا كيروز عبر راديو سينا 102.3 FM في لقاء جديد أكيد. وأرقام الهواتف في الاستوديو 313-769-6666 519-256-1023. مكاتب المحامي جومانا كيروز تستقبل قضايا متعلقة بالهجرة والتجنس، قضايا متعلقة بالبانكربسي وأكيد personal injury والكار اكسيدنتس، قضايا متعلقة بالكريمنال لو، فاميلي لو وسوشيال سيكوريتي، وقضايا الإصابات في العمل. الاستشارات مجانية 248-557-3645. بإمكانكم الاستماع للحلقات مرة أخرى عبر زيارة الموقع الإلكتروني yourrights.com/radio أو زيارة قناة جومانا كيروز على اليوتيوب. تحياتنا لكم. أهلا جومانا ومرحبا بك في راديو سينا.
صباح الخير رامي، يعطيك ألف عافية. صباح الخير لكل المستمعين.
تحياتنا لك. واليوم أول يوم ربيع المفروض يعني
مزبوط. أول اليوم ربيع وعنا بلبنان بالإضافة له أول نهار ربيع هو عيد الأمهات. بالعراق ست شيء
اكيد، بالشرق الاوسط
بالشرق الاوسط كله، لكن لكل الامهات اللي عم يتسمعوا كل عيد وانتم بخير.
بالفعل كل الامهات وانت بالف خير ايضا جمانة.
الله يخلينا اياهم يا رب.
نتمنى الصحه والعافيه لك ولكل الامهات ان شاء الله.
ثانك يو. مثل ما بيقولوا اكرم اباك وامك.
طبعا.
Happy Mother's Day to everybody. Attorney Mark Gazdagi, today is the first day of spring. We are happy to have you today. We were saying that in the Middle East, Mother's Day in Lebanon and in the entire Middle East is always on the first day of spring. So today is the first day of spring, and today is Mother's Day throughout the Middle East, and we were wishing all of our Middle Eastern listeners happy Mother's Day.
Oh, well, happy Mother's Day to you and your mother too.
Thank you very much, Mark. Here in the United States, Mother's Day is always, I believe, the first Sunday in May. Second Sunday in May. Second Sunday in May. Yes, we will get to again say Happy Mother's Day then. That reminds me of my daughters when they were young. They wanted to celebrate when they were like 5 years and 1 month, 5 years and 2 months. 5 years. I'm sure, Rami, you have a similar scenario at home. Yeah. Well, welcome, Attorney Mark Gazdagi again. Attorney Mark Gazdagi is one of our fabulous family law attorneys as well as criminal law attorneys in the office. Attorney Mark Gazdagi has about 30 years of experience. Less?
27.
27. Fine. I was not.
Feels like 30.
It feels like 30. But you look a lot older than. No, just kidding. You look fabulous.
It's an advantage to me because all the judges.
Wait a minute, you look fabulous, and actually, I would have thought that you had only 5 years of experience.
Oh, thank you.
That's not good. No, that's not good. Because if you only have 5 years of experience, some people are going to say, well, he's not experienced. How is he going to take care of my criminal matter? I'm going to be, going to jail.
Well, you've been around a long time when all the judges say, oh, hello, Mr. Gazdagi. Nice to see you again. Well, Your Honor, I just saw you like 2 weeks ago.
Yes, I know. Or right across the street in the Southfield from our office in the Southfield District Court. where they see you maybe on a more regular basis.
Yeah.
It's you again. It's you again.
That's how it is.
Yes.
And it's a good advantage because you get called first. And
yes.
then,
Yes.
Then our clients don't have to, they can get to work. And
You know something, Attorney Marcus Deki, I will tell you that, relationships and who you know and familiarity, they go a very, very long way.
Very
Obviously,
long
it
way.
does not change the laws or anything like that, but it's very subtle, but it's very powerful. Who you know, who you can talk to, who knows you, who likes you, who's been your friend, goes a very long way.
It does.
It
Very
does.
much so. I wish that it could be more like that all, in everything we do.
It is. It is like that. It is like that. Relationships.
We kind of lost that in Congress,
We kind of lost that with social media because I hear all the time, oh, he's my friend. Oh, he's your friend. Yes, on Facebook. Which is a kind of friendship, okay, but it's not the same as when you know people. You sat down with them, you looked them in the eyes, you talked to them, you studied them, you broke bread with them. So I hear it all the time. Oh, he's my friend, he's my friend, she's my friend, he's my friend. Oh, really? How do you know them? Where do you know them? Oh, on Facebook, on Instagram, right, Rami? Do you know that? If somebody is your friend on Facebook and you say he's your friend or she's your friend. I hear a lot of
That's happened, right?
people in the Middle Eastern community say that like very lightly. Oh, he's my friend. Okay, where from? Facebook. He's my friend on Facebook. It's certainly, when somebody, is your friend on Facebook and they comment and whatever, there is no question that psychologically it does have, an effect on you. So yes, you feel a sense of familiarity and safety, but you don't know them.
Right.
You still don't know them, right? So I think that with social media, Tony Marcus Daki is people, there aren't a lot of relationships, human relationships happening anymore.
Yeah, you have to build them.
Right.
It's like I saw on TV.
Can I hide behind my text messaging and WhatsApp? No, it can only go so far.
Yeah, they can only go so far.
Then you have to put all these emojis to explain what you really meant.
Which is really sad.
Which is, what did we do prior?
We lost. You literally wrote letters, and you drew a heart if you loved them. Or,
Yes.
Or a sad face if it wasn't something you liked.
Right. Right, but there were no emojis and people were sending letters to each other. I used to send letters.
Yeah.
When I came to this country 30 years ago, a little more than 30 years ago, I would send letters to my friends in Europe, in the Middle East. I would receive friends. When I would go on vacation, I would send a postcard.
Yeah.
Do you remember postcards?
Oh, yeah. It was wonderful when you would look forward to looking in your mailbox.
Oh, now it's junk mail.
Now it's junk mail. Oh, boy, get a coupon. Oh, boy. No, you have to build those friendships. I just saw on TV just recently, they had a
By the way, I love our legal discussion. But
Well, no, it's all
Tell me what you saw on TV.
This is all relevant to legal discussion because it's all about relationships, too.
Yes.
Because you want an attorney who has relationships.
Yes.
Because there's
relationships,
the law,
you mean with judges and with other
judges
lawyers.
and the prosecutors and other lawyers you're going up against.
Yes.
Because like I'm dealing with a divorce right now. I have a relationship with the other side.
Yes.
So things will go.
The lawyer for the
other side. Because it will go a lot more smoothly. It's like, we can work this out and not go to court.
Right.
I said, yeah, we can work this out. We're both very
and that will be then
intelligent
cheaper
attorneys.
for all parties.
It's very cheaper for our client. And,
and certainly the other clients.
They can go to work.
Yes.
They don't have to spend half a day or some employers only, make you take the whole day off.
Yes.
Rather
than half a day.
And sometimes you are a paycheck away from poverty. So you need those days.
Yes.
So if I can help foster solving your problem and you're still going to work, that's a happy day.
Yes. Yes. I want to, again, remind the listeners, we have about 50 minutes remaining. We are taking calls with Attorney Marcus Deki, who a number of listeners, I think, do know, particularly with the Yemeni community. Marcus Deki has a long-standing relationship, particularly with people of the Yemeni community. The number to call here is 313-769-6666.
and from Windsor. And I have been told, Rami, that some people have been trying to call from Windsor and they cannot get through.
Oh, really?
Yes. I don't know if you've heard that.
No. Usually we get calls from Windsor.
From Windsor,
normally,
okay.
yeah.
Well, that's what I was told. So I figured, I will pass on the message. The number from Windsor is 519-256-1023. Again, any questions you have pertaining to criminal law, pertaining to family law, divorce, separation, alimony, child support, what else?
We've even expanded.
Domestic violence.
Yep, domestic violence. We've even kind of expanded to do other general civil stuff.
Yes, we do also consumer rights. You represent somebody, and you've done it for many years, of course. But I'm saying just recently, landlord, tenant, and so forth. Very good. One of the cases that you are working on in the office, perhaps, I don't know enough about it, perhaps jointly with our immigration attorney, Attorney Sam Saif, is somebody from the Middle Eastern community who has a divorce question and an immigration question, or a divorce issue as well as an immigration issue. Can you tell us a little bit more what this is about?
Well, from what I'm gathering so far with the potential client, they want a divorce, but they also are concerned that they want their green card status. There's no domestic violence so far that I understand involved in that, and they wanted to understand what the immigration aspects of that were, and so I have to refer that out to refer it to our in-house attorney Sam Saif, who's an expert in immigration law, and he responded to me saying there's a form, I forgot what it was called, I-something, where she can file after the divorce, and then she can petition to get her green card thereafter.
Okay.
So it's not like a block. So, that's helped her ease her mind.
Of course.
She's still in the process of deciding if she wants to get divorced.
Because of the fear that she may lose her legal standing here.
Yes.
I am sure that this is a scenario that happens more often than we think, because life happens, because people don't get along, because sometimes people marry people from outside the country, and there is maybe a greater risk that those relationships do not work out. And so here the person comes, on a green card, looking forward to a life here and citizenship, but the relationship between them and the other party is not working out, and they are between a rock and a hard place. Maybe sometimes domestic violence, maybe sometimes serious things. So they are between a rock and a hard place. Do they like this? Is it a lady?
Yes.
Like this lady is deciding, should I be patient if I can until I obtain, my citizenship and then get a divorce, knowing that may be a while from here? Or should I get divorced now, and am I risking losing my legal status here? No question, this can happen to a lot of people. I would say, Attorney Margazdagi, also with relationships, as I said, that developed overseas. When perhaps you went back home, met somebody, and it was the honeymoon period. Because when you're dating, it's every day is Sunday. Every day is Sunday. Every day you're putting your best clothes on, right?
No, most definitely.
Every day is Sunday. Every day you're putting your best clothes on. But life is not just Sunday. Life is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So when you go overseas and you meet people, by definition, the relationship is quick, it's fast, it hasn't taken its time, and it's under it's in a very controlled environment. It's always a vacation. It's a vacation day. And so they come here and they find that they're not for each other. That can happen a lot.
Correct. And you also, which I've noticed too, in some of my discussions with some of my past clients, they start to notice quickly the difference in the culture.
Yes.
Once you get to America, it's not like it was overseas. You have sometimes more freedoms. And then some of my clients are like, well, under this culture, I don't like being married to my spouse.
Yes, I want to tell you this. Every day is a Sunday when you are dating, whether it is speaking to people who are wanting to develop relationships with people from outside, or whether it's here, those are not my words. I was listening to something on YouTube and I wrote it down. This person was saying, and I'm going to read a little bit from it: take the Sunday clothes off. Take the Sunday clothes off. If you stay on the surface with people, you can make a very good impression, but you can't be with somebody and always be living Sunday. You gotta take the Sunday clothes off and be the Monday and the Tuesday and the Wednesday. And you know what? How true is that?
That's extremely true.
How true and profound is that? If you stay on the surface, you
Yeah.
can make one head of a very good impression on everyone.
Yes. It's like dating. The first few dates, you take the person to a real nice restaurant. And,
Oh, yes.
and then I learned from a very good friend of mine. He said, well, Mark, after the 3 or 4 dates, take them to not a great restaurant, because in real life, you don't go to the great restaurants every day of your life.
Not every day.
You might eat at home. You might go to the Burger King.
You might eat leftovers.
Yeah, you might leave leftovers, and see how that person reacts to that.
That's right.
Like, hi, honey, we're going to, I'm going to meet you over at McDonald's, and then from there we can go see a movie or something. And if she's like, ooh, McDonald's, and I'm like, wait a minute, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Reality here. Wait a minute. Not every day is a $70 dinner, or more.
Correct. You are absolutely correct. We're saying the same thing. And in relationships between, people that lead to marriage, a lot of times people don't really know each other. And that leads to conflict, that leads to unhappiness, that leads to divorce, separation, cheating, and all of that. So it's very important, getting into a marriage is probably, if you ask me, it is the most important decision you can make in your entire life. There is no more important decision than the decision of who you want and you intend to spend the rest of your life with. That decision can make you or can break you, depending on who you are. And
Very true. It's easy to get married.
Very.
And it's very fast. You can go down to Toledo, but it's extremely long to get divorced.
And imagine if there were children.
Oh yeah.
Then this person that you realize you don't care for or is not a good fit for you, you're going to have to deal with that person and potentially be in conflict with that person for the rest of your life because of the children you have together.
Oh yeah.
Even from a distance.
See, when in divorce, I find 2 commonalities of what sparks it. One is infidelity.
And I know the other one.
Yeah, and the other one is financial.
Financial.
And the financial is more so than the infidelity. The financial, when you're getting divorced, it really brings to light when the process goes through. Some of my clients are like, what? How much is child support? Oh, I can't afford that. And then the response that the referee gives, and sometimes judges give, and they said, well, and I quote one judge.
Speaking of domestic family law judges, can I give a shout out to my wonderful friend, the beautiful Judge Adel Harb, who I had the pleasure of stopping by, whose courtroom I had the pleasure of stopping by yesterday in Wayne County Circuit Court.
She's
so he is
He's
wonderful.
Nice. He is so nice.
A shout out to Judge Adel Harb, our beloved Judge Adel Harb, a wonderful human being and a great judge. I have not been in front of him because I don't personally do family matters. I know you have not been yet in front of him, but it's only a matter of time.
Oh, yeah.
A huge shout out to him. Go ahead.
Yeah. One judge said, and it sounded funny, but it wasn't funny. He said, happy meals cost money.
Oh, I thought you were going to say happy wife, happy life. But
no, they said that too. They said that too. Happy wife is a happy life. Stay married. But like we've said before in other radio shows, sometimes you just can't do that. It's toxic for the children. It's toxic for yourselves.
Yes.
When the client sees this child support figure and they're like, wow, I have to pay $800 some odd a month. I'm going to only have $200 left in my paycheck. How am I going to live?
Well,
So
but that's on
the
one
reality.
hand.
Your
Yes.
kids have to have clothes, food,
Well, that's on one hand, but on the other hand, Mark, it is a toxic relationship. So staying in the relationship to save the money or to save money I don't know that it's always a wise decision
I
if the
agree.
children are going to be exposed to abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, putting people down, yelling, whatever the case may be.
Most definitely.
So
It's-
you know what's even better than all that? Taking the time before you marry that person.
Yes,
And doing
date.
your due diligence.
Date.
Do
Long
your due diligence. Give it time.
My parents
What's
dated.
the rush?
My parents dated 5-6 years before they got married.
That's unusual.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure your parents are
yeah.
in their 70s or
Oh,
80s.
yeah, they're dead now, but
God
they-
bless their
but yeah,
soul.
God bless their souls.
Yes.
But that was a time in the early 60s. That's what you did, or even 50s.
But that
you
was
took a long
wise.
time.
Because in the early
get to
50s,
know.
you were married for life.
Yeah.
You were married for life.
Well, another thing that we're lacking in our society today that doesn't really help with trying to decide if you have a good marriage or not is, again, social media, the lack of interpersonal connections. Back, if you notice in the movies and the television shows, husband and wife had friends in the neighborhood.
Yes.
They would go
Support
and
system.
Yeah, they have a support system.
Support
they would go and
system.
play
People-
cards
yes.
Friday night. Saturday
Yes.
night they
Oh,
had
yes.
the club.
Yes.
The quote
Yes.
unquote the club.
Yes, those were traditions. Those were beautiful traditions.
And what do we do
and
now?
they got people together and they got
You
them
got to-
talking
yeah,
and
you got to-
sharing and
you got to talk to your buddies, and she got to talk to her girlfriends,
Right.
and you learned some valuable, advice
Yes.
before the
Before you
relationship
did-
gets toxic.
before you did
Like-
the D thing.
like-
yes.
like, do you listen to her?
yes.
Do you pay attention that you're talking over her?
Yes.
Oh, just simple stuff.
Yes.
Because that simple stuff is like a little mustard seed. And a mustard seed is a little itty bitty tiny seed.
The mustard seed is called the tiniest seed.
Yeah, the tiny seed, like in the Bible.
Yes.
It's
If you have the faith of a
yeah,
mustard
if you
seed.
have the faith of a mustard seed, it can grow into a gigantic plant.
Right.
Which it does.
Moving mountains. You
Yes.
can move mountains.
And the
Yes.
same thing with learning the valuable lessons of trying to get along. Learn
Correct.
from your friends. That those little nuggets of knowledge can grow into a strong relationship.
But then again, you must have good friends.
Yes.
You must choose your friends. You must choose your friends wisely.
Very
You
much
must
so.
choose your friends wisely because they have the ability to influence you. Because to some degree, you are who you hang out with, to use
Correct,
slang terms,
correct.
to a certain degree. There is some level of influence.
And that's where I find in my criminal practice, when you're in a younger age, you're very impressionable and you're trying to find your place in adulthood, and you hang out with the wrong friends. Your parents tell you that all the time. Don't hang with the wrong crowd.
Yes.
And unfortunately, sometimes you do.
Sometimes you're hanging out with the
And
wrong
you
crowd
don't
on social
realize it.
media.
Yeah, almost definitely.
When you are watching what they're doing and following it and whatever, you're hanging out with the wrong
Yeah.
crowd. They have the ability to influence
it's
you.
like I was having a discussion with.
Do you know how much time I spend on social media a week?
How much?
Not even 10 minutes, maybe
God
even
bless you.
less.
Because they were
have
showing us,
no
they were
interest.
showing a study
I have
where
no
a
interest.
person can't stop looking at their phone every 4 minutes.
Well, the phone is a computer, so it's more than just social
Yeah.
media. You have the text messaging, and you have the WhatsApp messaging, and you have the email that pops up, and you have the alert notifications. It could be social media you're looking at, more likely than anything else, but it could be other things as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So, they're saying how they Snapchat themselves in school. And we're talking about high schoolers. And I have some high school acquaintances, and I tell them all the time, do not be extremely careful of which you post anywhere. Don't post any nudity. Do not post anything like I'm going to shoot up the school or it should be bombed or anything. They take this stuff extremely seriously.
They should.
They should
because
because
if
it
I
has
don't,
happened.
Because if they don't and something happens, they're going to be liable and criminally
Yes,
probably held liable as well.
I had a colleague of mine who just defended a person in Monroe County where he was arguably depressed, clinically depressed.
How old?
Oh, he must have been about 16 or 17, I guess. And he said, I just can't stand anyone at school. I want to just bomb the place. Literally that same day, the police were at his door and arrested him.
As they should, because we don't know whether he's just thinking out loud or whether he has a plan to do so. How do you know the difference?
Yeah, you don't.
You don't.
You don't. But you could ruin your life.
Yes.
Thank God we have what's called the Home Use Training Act.
What is that? What is the Home Youth Training Act?
The Home Use Training Act.
So were you called to assist the family of this?
No,
okay.
I was just listening to my colleague.
Okay.
It took a while to get him from not being prosecuted, but it resulted in him...
Although he was a minor.
It resulted in him getting some psychological help, which
so
he
what
needed.
Is the Home Youth Act?
The Home Youthful Training Act allows...
The Home what Act?
The Home Youthful Training Act. Youthful Training
Youthful.
Act. Yeah.
Okay.
It allows anyone who's age 18 through 24 to not have a public criminal record if you successfully go through probation.
Okay.
Since this child was under 18, he would be under the juvenile court system.
Yes.
Which allows for a sealed record as well.
Yes.
But, like I said before, you have to be very careful of who you hang with and what you do as a child, because sometimes these protections aren't available to you. Mm-hmm. Because a judge does not have to hide your record if he doesn't want to. Mm-hmm. They
yes.
can, then that
so this
record
is
can
not,
spot.
It's not automatic.
No.
That because you are a minor, your criminal record or your court record is sealed.
Correct.
That's not automatic.
They can make your charge again, like we were talking to you before.
Charge as an adult.
And then they can not give you the HIDA, which we call the Home Youthful Training Act. And then now you have a criminal record on at a very young age.
Yes.
Good luck going to college. You have
to disclose it.
Yeah, if it's a violent criminal act, you're not getting into a residential, a dorm room.
Yes.
Yes. If it's a drug case, there's a lot of federal law that says you can't even get student aid.
Student aid if you have if you've been convicted.
If you've been convicted. Convicted. Yeah.
Yes. And by the time you're done having a lawyer and doing the probation and whatever, it's thousands and thousands of dollars and hours of
and heartache for your family. See, that's another thing that bothers me in my profession. When I represent the youth, I look at the parents with the child, supporting them, but I look in their face, and the face is like so much stress and worry
and anguish.
Yes. And I just, like I did one just recently with our office where he had multiple criminal issues with traffic issues and one felony.
The young man?
Yes.
And how old?
He's about 22.
Yes.
21, 22. And his father was very supportive. And I said, look, I will handle this. He has 3 issues. We've dealt with 2 now. One more is coming up. And I will handle this. I've kept him from going to jail, actually prison, under the felony probation violation. I was able to convince the judge that it was all right. His violation wasn't that serious. Then I was able to convince a district court judge that his district court matter should be dismissed because the prosecution wasn't ready. And I said, well, we're ready. And then the third one will be another probation violation issue, which I'll have to deal with. And this is, again, we're back to the very beginning of our radio show today, where since I have relationships with the probation department and the judge, I might be able to get them both to see beyond the hard, strict letter of the law and allow my client to be able to continue with his probation there, so that all three of his problems can work to his advantage, where he can finally continue employment and start schooling again.
Continue employment. What is that about?
Well, so, he felt frozen. When he came to our office, he felt
because
frozen.
He's overwhelmed.
He's overwhelmed.
Different issues.
And literally
hanging over
nervous
his head.
and His
He was
father came up
paralyzed.
to me. Yeah, he was paralyzed by life.
Yes.
And his father came to me in confidence and said, look, he just needs a chance. I said, okay, I'll give him that chance. I'll help him. I'll fight for him.
Right.
And that's what our office did. We fought
And
for him.
needless to say, we don't pass any judgment on anyone.
No.
We are not in a
everyone.
position to pass judgment on anyone, nor is it allowed in our profession
No.
to pass judgment. We are there to help.
Yes,
without
we are,
any judgment.
We are your mouthpiece. We are your advocate.
Advocate. We're your advocate. We're no better than you in many ways. However, we have a law license and we have ways and we have relationships and we have knowledge of the law and and the law often believes in second chances, and so we proceed based on that, but never judgment.
No.
Not even to ourselves, because truth is nobody lives in anybody else's shoes.
Correct.
Nobody lives in anybody else's shoes. Nobody knows what other people's needs are, shortcomings, circumstances, childhood. And again, there's another saying that says, don't look at the little speck in your brother's eye when you have a log in your own eye. We all have logs in our own eyes, so we can't even see past that log, but we judge nonetheless.
Well, that's true.
Go figure.
That's true. We don't live in glass houses.
No, nobody does. Nobody does.
We're not all perfect, and we just the best thing is to wake up every day and pray and ask God to help us get through the trials and tribulations of what we're going through.
And be the best
And
we can be today.
At the end of that day, to keep our head high.
Right. Be the best we can be that day. Try again. Forgive, including forgiving ourselves. One of the hardest things to do is forgiveness of oneself. It's easier to forgive someone else than it is to forgive oneself, because here you go the same mistake again. Here you do the same mistake again. Didn't you make that mistake yesterday? And didn't you make that mistake last week? Okay, you did. You didn't know any better. Life happened. You weren't paying attention. It's satisfying a subconscious need. Okay, I'm going to do better. I'm going to wake up today and go at it again.
Yes.
Forgive again.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would forgive a little child.
Yeah.
Forgive the child in you,
Most definitely.
Right.
Like when I tell my clients in the criminal matter again, where they're facing probation and they're facing all of this to them, and sometimes it is, all these daunting rules you have to follow to stay out of jail or be going before the judge again. You shall not drink, you shall not have a weapon, you shall maintain employment, and if you don't have employment, you shall maintain going to school and getting your GED or your diploma. You shall not engage in any other crimes, et cetera, depending on the specific type of crime you're involved in. And some of our clients who are facing all these probation requirements, they feel overwhelmed and frozen in life. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just stop trying to go, and not really because of your own choice. It's like I just had a client a couple of weeks ago. She did not have transportation to go. Mm-hmm. So because she didn't have transportation to go, she missed 3 of her drug testing appointments. And so, but she called her probation officer and said, I just don't have transportation. I can't get there. Mm-hmm. Probation department, I don't know. I don't judge anyone. I try not to. But they're like, well, I have to violate you. Oh. But I just told you, I can't get there. I don't have a mother or father or Uber or Lyft to get me to where I got to go.
Cannot afford an Uber, I suppose.
No. And they violated her, and the judge in our violation hearing, he said, well, you missed them, and I understand what Mr. Gazdecki was saying to me, but you're going to jail for 10 days. And I'm like, wow, thank you, Your Honor. And that's what I have to do, because I have to give respect and deference to the judge after I gave a strenuous argument.
But it appears that the judge showed no understanding and mercy.
Correct.
Maybe did not care to stop and really hear. There is a difference between listening and hearing.
Yeah.
Listening is people are talking, and hearing is really trying to understand really what's being said and what's that about and why did that come to happen. And you do not believe that that person was trying to abuse the system.
No, because
Well,
literally
then shame on the judge.
from where she lives to where the courthouse was literally a county away. Now I've had some
Pretty far.
Yeah. Well, I had some clients though who would ride their bike. They would get literally up at 5 a.m, get on their bike and ride to the courthouse, which would take them 2.5 hours one way.
Wow.
And, he'd have a slight violation, like he wasn't paying his fines and costs. I said, but Your Honor, let me tell you something. And
this is somebody who's really trying, because he is otherwise riding his bike 5 hours to do a drug test.
Just to do what he was told to do.
Right.
And
Mitigating
the judge, when I told the judge this, he was dumbfounded. He was quiet. He was like, Mr. Gazdecki, I really respect your client. I can understand that he couldn't pay. We'll work with him on that.
Oh,
but
wonderful.
since this man got on his bike and rode here, I have probationers who don't even bother coming. And this man got up at 5 a.m. to, it's like what you hear in the news where you see this gentleman who walked to work.
Mm-hmm.
Literally would take him 3 hours to walk to work. And then after he gets off of work at 5 or 6, walk home 3 hours and be home at 8 or 9 o'clock at night.
Or people who take public transportation and they take 2 or 3 different buses to arrive to their place of work. I have had some employees over the year. Mm-hmm. My hat goes off to them. They have to wake up very early to come to the job in Southfield and take 2 and 3 buses.
Yeah.
Because they cannot afford transportation. They cannot afford a car. And they have to ride in all these buses to make it on time to work.
Correct. Oh, and I like to say to our listening viewers out there, if you do not have good transportation, the Detroit bus line has now established the Evergreen bus that goes all the way to our location, which is at 1000 Town Center. It's a big goldish bronze building right on Evergreen and 10 Mile.
So what's that transportation that you're talking about?
It's a Detroit bus system.
Okay.
The Detroit bus stop actually ends right there at that little shopping center right next to our building.
And that was not the case
That wasn't
before.
the case last year. This is the first time Detroit's gone this far out into Southfield.
Understood. So now it's providing transportation outside of Detroit.
Yes.
Outside of Detroit.
So we can, for our listening viewers out there, you can, if you're in the Detroit area, you can get to us through the Detroit bus system. If you're in the suburbs, you can get to us through the SMART system as well, because the SMART bus goes out that way as well.
Attorney Mark Gazdecki, I want to just remind the listeners that we are with you for the full hour, and it's a lovely discussion. It doesn't always have to be the law says and you violated the law and according to the law, because what we're talking about, the social, the psychological, the things behind, people coming together and creating a marriage and then resulting in divorce and all that is far more important than, how you can change child support and reduce it. So I want to remind listeners about the numbers here from Detroit or here in the United States, 313-769-6666, and from Windsor, 519-256-1023. I think it's a very pleasant discussion we are having. I love the the $70 meal ticket, or my analogy, quoting somebody else, the Sunday clothes off, is getting married because it's that time and I need to have kids. Is that a good reason to get married, Attorney Mark Gazdecki?
No.
And I'm talking to you not as a theologian. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to you as a divorce attorney who get the calls when it's time, to go through a divorce. Yes. It's time to have kids. I'm a 40-year-old man. It's about time I make a family. Or the woman. Is that a good reason to get married?
That's not a good reason to get married at all.
Is it risky?
It's very risky because you're bringing in autonomous children who have feelings and their own mind, and you're getting married just your main reason being, I need children, but your spouse is the person you have to raise those children with, and you have to, have the good days and the bad days with them. You don't put the children in the problems of life that you should have realized you may or may not have had with that other significant other.
In other words, you have to have a common denominator with the other person, because if you're getting married to have children, guess who's going to raise the children?
Yeah.
You and the other person.
Correct.
If you don't have enough with that other person, then the children will come, and then raising the children will be a disaster.
Yes. That's why in the family system, in the family law system, I keep on telling my clients, the family court main issue when there's a divorce with children is the children.
The children.
They are the primary laser focus of this judge. Mm-hmm. All the 12 interest best factors.
The laser focus of a family court judge is always the child or the children.
Child or children. Mm-hmm. The husband and wife, all their ancillary discussions and arguments are secondary to what happens with the children.
To the well-being of the children.
Yes.
Correct.
So, if your primary reason was to get married was to have children, you may not have children after you find out that your marriage wasn't working and you get a divorce. You may be the absentee parent who only gets 2 days a week or 2 days every other week. And what you thought you wanted now doesn't exist.
Correct. What about is getting married because I need financial protection? Let's leave it at that. Is that a good reason to get married?
No.
As tempting as it may be.
Because
is that a good reason?
And a couple different reasons. I don't think that's a real good reason to be married. One is because you're really playing yourself down of what you can do for yourself. You can make
So what you're
yourself.
saying, I love that. So what you're saying is, if I'm marrying someone because I need financial support, in other words, I'm saying I don't believe in myself, and I am shortchanging myself because I have everything it takes. I have, your creator created you fully equipped. There isn't anything missing. There's no chip missing. There is no DNA missing. There is no gene missing. You have it all in you. You may not know. You may be told. You may need to be reminded. You may need to be pushed to discover that you have it all in you. So I think the first thing you're saying, if you're saying I'm marrying somebody because I want financial security, in other words, consciously or subconsciously, you think that you don't have what it takes to get that financial independence.
You don't have the value. You don't have the gumption to be able to go out there to make something
Things
of yourself.
Happen. Yes.
And I give you a few examples of wonderful women who were, self-starters, like J.K. Rowling. She was,
I think she was on governmental assistance.
She was on governmental assistance in England. The husband of her children.
For the listeners, J.K. Rowling is the creator of all these magnificent
books regarding Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, yes.
And she's
and I think she's a billionaire.
Now.
Yes.
She wrote her books on the subway.
On the subway. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Amazing, huh? She self-started. She believed in herself enough to take care of her family and pursue a dream, which turned out to be a wonderful dream.
And sometimes you discover that what you have, because necessity is the mother of all invention.
Oh, most definitely. And
so it may also be with J.K. Rowling that she really needed to find other ways to financially support her children, and she discovered a passion.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And then I know some single mothers who aren't like J.K. Rowling and billionaires, but just your average worker who keeps her family together because she works her job or 2 jobs.
2 and 3 jobs.
Yeah. Comes home, washes the dishes, washes the clothes, does the kids' homework with them, and keeps it together.
What about sometimes you'll have a person who is kind of lazy and doesn't want to do the hard work and is seeking to get married for financial protection.
Well,
does not want to work, wants the easier life. What's What's the prognosis on a relationship like that?
It's not going to work well at all. Because,
why is that?
Because you're inviting...
That person is okay with it, does not want to.
Yeah, but you might be inviting a form of domestic abuse called financial dominance.
Explain.
Where by, sure, I have you now, you're in my relationship, you're having my kids, but because of how passive you are, I can control your finances, who I let you see. You're giving that person too much dominance over your life, which in a marriage, you're supposed to be able to promoting them to be better.
Right, pushing each other.
Dominating.
Correct.
Domination always leads to ruin.
Correct. Very well said. You have a lot of wisdom, Mark. You have a lot of wisdom. You are right. It opens the way for the other person to feel that they have control because they financially control the situation. And also what happens if the financial situation of the other person changes?
Yeah, that's true too.
Then the person who entered into the relationship for the financial will want to be out of it or will become bitter and it will lead to problems.
Correct.
Right. So in other words, in a relationship, because I'm sure you've seen those billboards that popped up for a little while that said, I enjoyed the marriage, now invite me. I enjoyed the wedding, now invite me to the relationship. Signed God. Signed God. Have you seen those?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that, but I like that.
Wedding,
that's cool.
Now, I enjoyed the wedding, now invite me to the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They say, or it is said, that two people have to be equally yoked. Have you heard that before?
Yes, most definitely.
Yes, comes from the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Equally yoked. The yolk is the yellow of the egg.
Yes.
Equally yoked, meaning by and large, sharing, that they don't have to be the same. That's the beauty of life, is that no one is a copy of the other person. But in what matters, in the big things, in the line item things, in what truly matters, they share a common language. They see things the same way. In the big things, that's what it means to be equally yoked. Now, there is the non-important stuff. I like red and you like blue, and, I like hamburgers and you like something else.
Mm-hmm.
And, those are not very important. But what's the line item things, that has to be an agreement. You have to be,
yes.
You have to be equally yoked.
Very much so.
You have to be equally yoked when it comes to the important things. And the way the way that someone is equally yoked to you is you have to give it the gift of time.
No, most definitely.
You have to give it the gift of time, because that's how you test people. You test them one situation at a time, one happening at a time, one stressful event at a time. Because they say when you squeeze a lemon, you're going to get lemon juice out of it. So when you squeeze someone, you put them in the corner, or when no one is watching and they're not watching everything they're saying and they're doing, such as under stressful circumstances, what comes out of those people are who they really are.
That's very true.
Are who they are. If they are good, it's going to be good. And if they are evil, it's going to be evil. And if they are, kind and understanding, it's going to come out. But it's not going to come out when everything is beautiful and things are, happy. It's going to come out one stressful situation at a time. That does take time.
That does take time. And it kind of reminds me of something I saw on TV recently where the mother was telling the character who would be her daughter, saying, I told you so.
I told you so. Yes.
I saw something that you were just blind to see.
Yes. And in fact, I know we have very few minutes remaining. Do you agree with me that when a number of people around you are warning you or are seeing what your eyes are not seeing, that's something to pay attention to and take into consideration?
Oh, most definitely.
If you're in a relationship and your best friend
who has passed the test of time and is trusted and cares about you, and your mother and your cousin are all saying the same thing about the other person you are in a relationship with, then they are onto something. They're not all wrong.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yes.
But they all don't have the same peace because they really, like in a relationship, they don't live with you.
Yes. So we're not saying you blindly listen. We're not saying you blindly follow, but we are also saying you just listen, go within, analyze, take into consideration, and keep it in the back of your mind.
Correct.
And proceed further. And it's going to, but now it's in the realm of possibilities.
Yes.
So, you know, as the other person gets exposed to more and more stressful circumstances, then you will know.
Correct.
You know,
yeah,
who they truly are. And this isn't necessarily about good and bad. It's not always about he's good and she's bad, she's good and he's bad. It's about, first of all, it's about being equally yoked, being similar enough, seeing the world on the important stuff in the same way that you can, you know, continue and have longevity without conflict.
Correct.
Right. This was a lovely, lovely discussion. We have about 2 or 3 minutes remaining. Again, I want to remind the listeners that you can listen to this tape again on our website, yourrights.radio, and you can listen to it on the Joumana Kayrouz YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that channel. This way, every time we download something, it's there for you to listen to. Rami, in principle, I may not be able to be here tomorrow, and if that's the case, Attorney Sam Safe, I believe, has made room in his schedule to come and cover. However, I may still be here. So not sure right now how it's going to go, but it can go either way. Attorney Mark Gazdegi is an attorney with 27 years of experience, among other things, in handling in our office and prior to our office, criminal matters, family law matters. And the number in our office is 248-557-3645. And of course, Attorney Mark Gazdegi, all of our consultations are free, correct?
Correct.
We're not necessarily talking about an hour and a half consultation, but, you know, we're not clock watchers. With immigration, because we get a lot of calls, we kind of limited. But I even know that Attorney Sam Safe is not a clock watcher at all, and will give people time, you know, any consultation for immigration far longer than the 15 or 20 minutes advertised.
Thank you, Joumana.
Thank you very much. And this was a really lovely, lovely discussion about the social, you know, ramifications, particularly of, you know, relationships and family law. Thank you.
Thank you so much. شكرا لكم مستمعينا على حسن المتابعة، ودائما بإمكانكم الاستماع لهذه الحلقات مرة أخرى على الموقع الإلكتروني yourrights.com/radio. إلى اللقاء.